welcome to day 4 of our Build Balance Momentum program. Today's pose of the day is four-limbed staff pose, so what we often refer to as Chaturanga. So far in our practice we've been doing a modified version of this where we've been dropping to our knees. So today we're going to walk through the full version of keeping our knees lifted, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of slowly and controlled lower down. But we'll be using blocks just in case, and you are always welcome to drop to your knees. So I thought I'd switch it up today and thought we should start in mountain pose. So just as I said we'd always start in child's pose, here I am switching it up. So we'll start in mountain pose today at the front of our mat. And while we're learning four-limbed staff pose, we'll also be learning Sun Salutation A, which is the sequence that kind of warms up the entire body that yoga instructors often teach at the beginning of every yoga class. So we'll be starting our class today with Sun Salutation A as well. So we'll start in mountain pose at the front of our mat, feet hip distance apart, and we'll kind of feel as we're grounding ourselves to our mat. So open your palms wide to allow them to face in front of you. And let's find our center of gravity above our feet. And just connect with our breath here a moment. Feel free to close your eyes. And just observe your breath. I forgot to mention, if you would like, you can grab a couple blocks today and a yoga strap. So if you need to pause the video to go grab those things before we start, feel free. They're not necessary, but they do help with proper alignment, just getting a little deeper into our stretches. Alright, so let's begin our practice today. So we are starting our Sun Salutation A. So we're going to inhale our arms wide, come up into an upward salute, gaze high, arms over. Exhale, let's push our hands out wide, and dive forward into a forward fold. So we're going to press our hands onto the mat, inhale, halfway lift, into a flat back, and exhale, forward fold. Again, keeping that micro bend in the knees. Sometimes people jump back into plank here and right into Chaturanga, but we're going to take it slow. So we are going to step our feet back, so whichever foot you'd like to start first, into high plank. And if you want, at the moment, you can drop your knees. We are going to position some blocks right in front of our hands, so that when we drop down to do Chaturanga, our shoulders will be able to drop onto them. So kind of line them up with your shoulders if you can, so that if you bend forward, your shoulders land right on them. So this will help take the pressure out of our arms as we learn Chaturanga. So now that we have our blocks in place, let's lift back up into high plank, and we're going to roll forward onto our toes. So this sets us up in the right position for Chaturanga. So we're going to inhale here, and exhale, we're going to tuck our elbows in towards our torsos as we slowly and controlled lower down until our shoulders rest on our blocks. And this teaches us the proper positioning for Chaturanga. So when I first learned this, I used to drop my shoulders way too low. And this allows us to not drop any lower than we're supposed to, so we get a nice 90-degree angle in our arms. And so from Chaturanga, what we want to do is flip our toes. So put our feet, the tops of our feet on the mat. We're going to push up into upward facing dog. Inhale here. Keep your knees lifted, shoulders wide, chest open. Again, you can drop your knees to the mat if this is too much for you. Otherwise, keep them lifted if you can. Good, and now we're going to roll up onto our toes and push our hips back into downward facing dog. So that was our first sneak peek at the true Chaturanga. Again, feel free to drop your knees there if you need to. Good, and we're going to whichever one's most comfortable for you, up to the front of the mat and into a forward fold again. Keep your blocks where they are because we're going to go through this one more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Slide back. Exhale, forward fold. Let's lift. Slight micro bend in the knees. Lift. Our arms up to standing. Upward salute. Exhale, arms in prayer. Let's do one more here. That was one full sun salutation right there. So we're going to try it one more time. Inhale, arms up. Gaze high. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. You see we're taking it a little quicker this time. Exhale, let's bring our left foot out and then our right foot. Get the positioning right. Rock onto our toes. Inhale. And exhale, slowly lower, keeping those arms close to the torso into Chaturanga. Wait here only a moment. Untuck those toes. Inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale, push those hips back into downward facing dog. And let's rest here a moment. It takes people a long time to build up to be able to do Chaturanga slowly and controlled. So don't be upset if you were not able to accomplish that at this point in your practice. It's still rather early, but I wanted to give you a good introduction to it so you can kind of work on it on the side if you really wanted to. But you will get a lot of experience with it each day, so don't feel like you have to rush. Alright, hips back, weight in the hips and the legs in this downward facing dog. Good, and then let's kind of roll, and let's come into tabletop posture. If you want, you can move your blocks over to the side now. We won't be needing them at this point. Let's just do a couple cat-cows. So untuck those toes. We're going to inhale as we drop our stomach towards the mat. Bring our shoulders open up that chest, gaze forward. Exhale as we puff through the back of the back. Tucking the chin in through the chest, and rounding out that spine in cat pose. Inhale, gaze high, chest drops. Exhale, tucking the chin. Let's do one more here. Inhale, gaze high. Exhale, into cat pose. Come back into a neutral tabletop, and we are going to press our weight into our right hand as we kind of swoop, inhale and swoop our left hand up towards the ceiling, and we're going to do what we call thread the needle. So exhale, let's bring that arm in between our arms and then kind of rest so our shoulder comes towards the mat. Bending the right elbow, inhale, lift up. Exhale, let's thread it under again. Inhale, exhale, thread it under. This time, dropping your shoulder to the mat and pausing here. If you'd like, you can straighten out your right hand and kind of walk it over to the left part of your mat to get a nice stretch through the side body. Using that shoulder to kind of open up, give a nice twist in your upper spine, your thoracic spine there. Good. Let's bring your right hand back under your right shoulder. Use that hand to push yourself up off the mat, and let's change sides. So ground through that left hand as you swoop your right arm up. Deep inhale and exhale it under, threading it through, dropping that shoulder towards the mat and bending your left hand or your left arm. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, forward fold through. There we go. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, try it one more time. This time stopping at the bottom to drop that shoulder to the mat. You can keep your left hand where it is, or you can walk it over to the right side of your mat. Again, using that right shoulder to kind of open up, getting a nice thoracic spinal twist. And breathing through the pose here. If this is too uncomfortable for you, you can always keep your arm back, your left arm back, or rest in child's pose. Good, let's bring our left hand back under our shoulder, use that to press ourselves up. Good. Come back into tabletop. Tuck those feet under, and let's push our hips back into downward facing dog. Excellent. We're gonna press through our right foot as we inhale our left foot up into three-legged dog. This time keeping your hips squared, so instead of turning them out like we did in the last class, we're gonna keep them nice and squared so our hips are aimed towards the floor. And we're gonna exhale as we bring our knee in towards our chest and see if we can press it in between our hands. Again, feel free to help your foot along if it just kind of got stuck there. And we're coming into what we call runner's lunge. So both hands kind of squaring that left foot. And we're not sinking our weight into our knee and our thigh here. We're really keeping our core engaged and pressing up, pressing the mat away from us. And I want you to keep your weight in your left foot as you raise your left arm up towards the ceiling. So don't dump your weight into your right wrist. Really keep your weight above your left foot. We're going to inhale that left arm up to the ceiling. Breathe here a moment. Let's do a couple shoulder rolls. Really open up those shoulders. Breathing here. And let's switch directions. Good, press that hand back down. We are going to put a lot of weight into our left foot and come up onto our fingertips and see if you can rise up into high lunge, or what we call crescent lunge. Raise your hands up towards the ceiling. Keep that knee nice and bent if you can. Oh, feel that burn. Let's bring our hands behind our body. Nice shoulder opening stretch. Feel that chest expand. Fill with air on your inhale. Good, let's release, drop it down to the mat. Let's bring our left foot back into high plank and then into downward facing dog. Good. Let's repeat it on the other side. All right, pedal it out if you need to. Whew, those are a leg burner. All right, ground through and place through that left leg, left foot, and inhale that right foot up and back, keeping those hips square here. Deep inhale, exhale as you come up onto your left toes and puff, puff, puff through the back of the back, bringing that knee in towards your chest and seeing if you can rest it in between your hands. Again, help it if you need to. As we come into runner's lunge, spine long here, core engaged, not sinking into that hip, keeping it nice and engaged. I forgot to mention that if you want, if it makes it easier, you can kind of bring your, use a block too at this point to press your kind of base arm on for support if you need to. So let's ground through that left hand, grab that block if you need. Let's raise our right arm up towards the ceiling, gaze high. Again, try to avoid dumping your weight into your left wrist. And keep it all on that right leg. So your left hand should be able to get up and move if needed without, losing balance because your weight's in your leg. Well, let's do some circles here. Breathing through your circles. And the other side. back down to the mat. Now ground through that right foot as we come up into high lunge or crescent lunge, sinking that knee a little bit lower. Breathing here through this pose. Again, feeling that nice burn in our quads. Swoop our hands back. Nice shoulder opener here. Opening up that chest, pulling our hands towards the mat. Good, and let's release back down. Press that foot back up into plank, and then release into downward facing dog. Bending those knees if you need to, pedaling them out. And roll up onto the toes, and let's come down onto our knees. As we flip over onto our bums. We're going to grab our straps here and do a seated forward fold. So we didn't do this in our first forward fold, but this is one way to help you get a little extra oomph in your stretch, is to use, kind of wrap that strap around your feet that are nice and flexed, your toes towards your shins, and kind of grip it as far back as you need to, whatever your level of flexibility is. We want to think about keeping that spine long and just kind of stretching towards our toes. So leading with our chest towards our toes. With every exhale, think about moving just a little bit closer to your toes. I like to think of them as little squares, little levels, to just sink a little deeper. Foot in and tuck that knee in to the inner right thigh. Let's wrap this around just our right foot. Let's inhale here and exhale, forward fold into that right leg. You might notice you can forward fold into one leg easier than the other, and for me it's definitely my right leg. So just sink into the posture, feeling your hip bones sit back. Keeping that spine lengthened. And on your next inhale, deep inhale, and on your exhale, round that spine and fold into the stretch. Not so much that it's uncomfortable, but just enough to really feel it in your hamstring here. Good, inhale back up. Change positioning, so put that left leg out to grab the strap. Right foot into your left thigh. Deep inhale here. And exhale, sink into the stretch. Oh yeah, that's tight. Every exhale getting a little bit deeper. As long as you don't feel any straining in your knees, it's doing okay. Okay, on your next exhale, I want you to round the spine and to sink into the stretch. So deep inhale here, and exhale, fold into the stretch, rounding the spine here. Deep breath. Strap back down. Scoot our butt forward and come onto our backs. So grab those knees and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll down. And come into a nice knee to chest stretch. So just hugging your knees to your chest. You can even give a nice spinal rock here. So just rock back and forth if you'd like. Bring your right foot up, straight towards the ceiling. Kind of bring your left foot under, or leg under and around, so you're wrapping that knee over your left leg. We're just gonna pull our left leg in. So you'll feel this stretch in your right hip. The closer you pull your knee in, the more you'll feel it. And release. Right leg back around, tuck the knee in. Straighten out that left foot to the ceiling. Bring your right knee under. Wrap that left leg around and then pull your right knee in. This time feeling it in your left hip. And do the stretch here. Of our feet to the mat as we come into corpse pose. So you may have to just scoot yourself up just a bit. So let your feet fall away from the body. Back of your hands resting on the mat. Neck loose, not rigid. Shoulders pressing down. Letting gravity pull them into the mat. And just release any holds you might have over your breath at this time. Each exhale, imagine yourself getting heavier and sinking into the mat just a bit more. Thoughts about the outside world and work and children or chores or errands start creeping in. Just acknowledge that they're there and then push them aside as you return your breath towards your breathing. As you continue in your yoga journey, you will find that you'll be able to hold poses just a little bit longer, just a little bit deeper with each class you take. So welcome that and encourage yourself to push just beyond your limits. Hold for one extra breath. That's where the magic happens. Force ourselves out of a little bit of discomfort to see true growth in our practice. Just know that you can do it, and you are strong, and you are capable. Just like to say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope Chaturanga or four-limbed staff pose wasn't as scary as you might have thought it would be. Again, always feel free to modify and drop your knees if you need to. There's no shame in that. It's way better to have proper form and a modification than sloppy form in the pose itself. So just remember that. And wherever you are is where you are meant to be in practice. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to meet you on the mat tomorrow for our final day, day 5, in our first week of the Build Balanced Momentum program. I can't wait. See you tomorrow. Namaste.